What up, world? It's your boy G Lewis, and I just want to let you know that I say what I say because I am my father's son. Hey.
Oh, I'm just here so I don't get fined. About that action, boss.
Okay.
What up, y'all? Financial Minute. Paradigm shift. Think ownership. Okay? Especially in the black African American community. It's all about ownership. We have become a nation of consumers. Bishop Jake said this, and I'm just paraphrasing from him. But if we can only be proud of what we consume and not what we produce, then we are lost. I talked about buying a home. I talked about buying a car. And my advice to you for 2015 is don't. Why? Because if you're financing anything, it owns you. You don't own it. And until we start to own our destiny, control our dollars, so we can start to build a community, then we are subject to everything that we are going through. So again, for this financial minute, paradigm shift. Ownership. And that's it. Look at G.
What up, world? It's G Lewis, and I want to give you a little bit of current news. Now, in a current era or time where we have so much negative TV, especially through reality TV, there is some positive TV, and I want to give them some props. One is called Wake Up Call. It's a show that The Rock is on, and what he does is he shows up and basically a person who their life is spiraling downhill, and he basically shows up and tries to show them some things to get their life back on track. Last night I watched it. Kenny Anderson, NBA player, he showed up to try to get his life back on track. That's awesome. And, in age of reality TV where everything is catfighting and negative, it's good to see some positive TV. The second one is Nellyville. It's nice to see a brother not only raising his kids on national television by himself, but raising his sister's kids as an uncle like they're his own. In an age where black men have such a negative spotlight, it's good to see some positive TV from those brothers. Peace out.
All right, so February is upon us, and it's that time of year where we do what's called Black History Month.
In 28 days.
Right. But gosh. But what we do implore you is make sure that it's Black History 365, y'all. Okay, every day we've contributed too much to this country in order to only relegate it to 28 days.
Right.
So make sure you every day teaching yourself not only again what history we've contributed to this country, but we got to go a little deeper too and study what we've done way before this country. Okay? Because it's documented, it's recorded that we are the mothers and fathers of civilization. Okay? History has been bought and paid for with the price in order to only relegate your history to stepping foot in Virginia back in the 1600s.
Yeah, and like you said, Black History 365, what I say is American History 365.
Amen.
Since we were here since the beginning and the inception of America, then that is a part of American history that we'll be talking about when you're researching it and you're talking about it with your kids. It's very important that you know everything about where you're, I don't want to repeat that. If you don't know where you come from, you don't know where you're going. But if you can figure out things that have happened to us in the past, it might actually give you an answer to something that's happening to you today. So I just want to throw that out there. American History 365. But
Atlantis.
Black History February. I'm good with that.
All right. get it. Okay, so what we got today?
Is our history separate than American history?
In my view, absolutely not. You so great segued into that point that it's American history. It's not Black history. But if we want to get real, then it might have to be a whole nother show. But if there would be no Wall Street today, if there was no slavery.
Oh, that's without a doubt. It's without a doubt. Yeah, you can't get rich and be the big guy if there's no little guy to kind of crap on.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, that's keeping it real.
Absolutely.
Our history is definitely interwoven with American history. However, there's nothing wrong with focusing on the Black aspects of American history also. What I feel like is as a culture, that's something that we just really fail at. Our kids don't understand that they should have a culture. So where they get their culture from is television. They think that their culture is TV. They think their culture is hip hop. They think their culture is rap. For some people that live in places like California, their culture is interwoven with we are all one people, which, that would be awesome if it were true. But it's very important that we teach our culture to our kids because Hispanics have their culture. They have their own neighborhoods. They have their own culture. Asians, you can't go nowhere without finding Chinatown now everywhere you go. The Jews have their culture. Italians have their culture. The Irish have their culture. Everybody has their culture. But when it comes to us having our own culture, it's kind of frowned upon and not promoted. And it should be promoted by us. So is our culture a part of American culture? Absolutely. But we really need to focus on our own culture because that's what makes America strong.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Couldn't have said it no better.
Yeah. Why don't we take ownership of our own history? Wow.
Well, again, it goes back to the catchphrase, what you said again. If you have no knowledge of self, then, what history do you have?
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And so we don't take ownership of it because we don't control the narrative of it.
Mm.
Just as the recent news on the Howard Campus University, the charter school,
right.
The tiff between the administrators and the faculty where 3 teachers were escorted out of their classrooms giving pink slips in front of the students because they chose to continue to teach African American history. Well, on the campus of an HBCU,
yeah, that's how it is.
They decided not to continue with ethnic studies. And so that means you're not controlling the narrative, plain and simple. So why don't we get involved in our history is because because the dominant society in which controlling the dollars and the money, they control the history too. Hell, they control the dollars that fund the school. So why not control what's learned in the school? So that's why we're devoid of self. So therefore, we can't perpetuate and control our own history.
I think we don't take ownership in our own history for several reasons. One of the things, like in my household growing up, and I absolutely love my mom for this. My mom made sure that I learned as much Black history as I could in home because she wasn't sure what I was going to learn at school. So I'm saying that to you parents, it ain't the teacher's job to teach kids about Black history and what being Black means. It's your job. And if you don't have the time to do it, find somebody that can in the neighborhood. Make sure your kids get that lesson. But I digress. I think one of the reasons why we don't own our history is, number one, because what we've been taught, our history, that portion of our history is really negative. Black people don't want to talk about slavery because it makes them feel bad. Black people don't want to go see movies with slavery in it because what's the first thing a person say when you tell them there's a movie? When the movie, what is it, with the slave, 12 Years a Slave, came out, every person I talked to was Black that said, I'm not going to see it, and the reason why is because I don't want to get mad in a movie theater. I don't want to get angry in a movie theater. I don't want to act a fool in a movie theater. Because we view that as so negative on how we were treated in this country. But that reality check is absolutely what we need in order to be able to perform, thrive, and be successful in this country. That's why Black people were able to be so successful in the past, because they never forgot what happened to them. They never forgot where they were. They never forgot how bad it could be. So they were constantly able to refocus themselves on exactly where they wanted to go because they know where they could end up. That's number one. Number two, we don't understand the value of our history. We don't see it as a valuable resource. We don't see it as something that's going to make our lives better. We don't see how it can improve us as individuals, as families, as households, as communities. And because we don't see the value in that, we don't promote it. We promote things like, Housewives of Atlanta, because we see the value of it in entertainment. We promote things like the new show Empire, because we see the value of it as entertainment. We don't promote our history because we don't see it as something that makes our lives better. But the reality is it does. Because if I remember that stove burnt me yesterday, I'm never going to touch it again. People who forget what happened to them yesterday will continue to repeat the same mistakes perpetually. So it's very important that you understand that there is value in your history. Last but not least, we've existed for a long time in this country without a foundation in our history. We've been robbed of our history, stripped of our history, because that was very important to control us. So we don't know all the aspects of our history, and a lot of people don't even know where to start. They don't know where to reach out. They don't know where to go to. So, I'm a big fan of the internet. I'm not a big fan of computers, but I'm a big fan of the internet. Start with Google. Black history. Enter. And see what comes up. First thing that comes up, click on it. Read it. You might learn something new. There is a lot of value in our history, but if we don't know everything that we've been through, it will be that much easier to drag us back to it.
Atlantis.
Atlantis.